81 up, 81 down. You already know what's the deal. Whenever you hear that MVP chant, you already know what's going on. It's the most valuable podcast in the world. It's the Hitmen podcast. A little bit delayed. I've been falling asleep on my partner for a couple of days trying to get over this weather, trying to get over this cold. But Chris checking in, MG in the building. What's the word, bro? How you feeling?
What's good, Brady? We out here, on the struggle bus with some of this NBA shit.
You on the second one right now?
Yeah.
I forget who was playing. I was in between the
Denver
Eagles and Texas
OKC.
and the second game. It's Denver and what's over with? Denver and OKC, right?
Yeah.
I think Jokic set a record tonight, though. I know that. I know how you feel about fam, though. How you holding up, though, bro? What's the deal? What's happening?
Yeah, we chilling, man. Weather. I'm not used to it being 70 degrees in November in Michigan, so.
Did you just say it was super cold or some shit last week?
Yeah. That's Michigan weather for you. It's 69 degrees today.
I got a question for you. If somebody offered you $500,000 in cold hard cash, would you end up giving it back?
They gave it to me for free?
Yeah.
Hell no, I ain't giving it back. I don't like Indian givers.
I ain't think so. Well, we're gonna talk about it in a second. You already know where we're going with it. Before we get off into it, man, I want to let y'all know that we everywhere that podcasts live. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, all of that. Make sure you hit us up in the mailbag, the Hitmen Podcast at gmail.com. Tap in on the socials at Hitmen Podcast, at Labeled and On, at Virtuoso Sports on Twitter. We ain't gonna waste no time, man. Let's get right off into the deal. You already know what the number one topic in the streets is. We want the Dams. Kyrie Irving, all over the newsways, all over the, you feel me? Waiver wires, all of that.
Man.
I think he done played his last game as a Brooklyn Net, but before we get there, like, let's catch y'all up to speed. In case you've been living under a rock, Kyrie Irving been a lightning rod for attention this past week and a half. We're only 2 weeks into the season, but Kyrie been the center of attention. The anti-Semitic tweet that he put up promoting, air quotes, promoting the film that's been under much scrutiny. This shit made Good Morning America a couple days ago. Him going back and forth with Nick Friedel. It's been a tough sled for him, and now the Nets came out today after speaking with the league and Adam Silver getting involved, saying that he's gonna be suspended at least 5 games without pay. That basically has like an indefinite tone to it, but he also, like I was trying to allude to earlier, he says he's gonna donate $500,000 to the ADL. But the CEO of ADL said that after he didn't apologize for his statement, bro, they don't even want the money. Keep your shit.
Yep. Oh, this is a whole mess. It's a whole mess, bro. Like, I think Kyrie's problem is he's not willing to sit down and talk about it.
And keep in mind, we don't do politics on this show, but we got to talk about it because it's hard to escape it.
Yeah, like, I can't speak too much on the book or the documentary because I haven't read it, and the only thing I know about it is what the media and the reports claim is in it, so I can't speak on that aspect.
Right.
But if Kyrie feels the way he feels, and he said he doesn't agree with everything in the book, okay, well, when reporters start asking you questions, don't change from one day it's I have a lot of influence and I'm trying to use my voice to the next day of I'm not promoting something, knowing that you're a celebrity and anything you put up on your social media is free promotion, basically.
Exactly, bro.
You got to understand, like, you can't pick and choose when you want to be the influencer when you're in the public eye. And also, it would have been a lot better if Kyrie just said, okay, guys, I'm going to do a press conference. Reporters are welcome. You guys can ask me any questions that you want about the entire situation and let's talk about it. And I can explain better to you guys about where I'm coming from. That way he could have said, okay, this part from the documentary or book I agree with, that part I don't agree with. No, I don't stand for hate or anything like that. It was a bad choice on me. It was a tone deaf moment me by posting that, and I apologize. But let's talk about it, and we can get to the you guys can figure out exactly where I stand on everything. That would have worked out a lot better.
I got the post-practice clip right here. Let's. So this is from last week, the initial one that got all the attention that got things started between him and Nick Friedel. Check it out.
Kyrie, while we're on the topic of promotion, why did you decide to promote something that Alex Jones said?
That was a few weeks ago. I do not stand with Alex Jones' position, narrative, court case that he had with Sandy Hook, or any of the kids that felt like they had to relive trauma, or parents that had to relive trauma, or to be dismissive to all the lives that were lost during that tragic event. My post was a post from Alex Jones that he did in the early 90s or late 90s about secret societies in America of occults, and it's true. So I wasn't identifying with anything of being a campaignist for Alex Jones or anything. I was just there to post, and it's funny, and it's actually hilarious because out of all the things I posted that day, that was the one post that everyone chose to see. It just goes back to the way our world is and works. I'm not here to complain about it. I just exist.
And to follow up on the promotion of the movie and the book.
Can you please stop calling it a promotion? What am I promoting?
Put it out on your platform.
But I'm promoting it? Do you see me in front of
putting it out there, people are going to say that you are promoting.
Yeah, put it out there just like you put things out there, right?
Yeah, but it's not.
You put things out there for a living, right?
Right, but my stuff is not.
So let's move on.
Filled with anti-Semitic
Let's
stuff.
move on. Don't dehumanize me up here.
I'm not doing that.
Another
You're
human
free to
being.
post
I can post whatever I want. So say that and shut it down and move on to the next question.
But Kyrie, you have to understand that
I don't have to understand anything from you.
It's not me.
Nothing.
By
It's no people that you're making up, bro. Move on.
But by posting
move
what
on.
you
Next
did,
question.
Anybody
Do you guys have any more questions?
And they're going to say,
you guys have any more questions? Because this is going to be a clip. This is going to be a clip that he's going to marvel at. Is this any more questions?
But you're not answering the question.
This is another answering your question. Oh my God! Let's make another Instagram clip so we could be famous again. Next question.
Kyrie basketball.
So the next clip I got, this came in. I think this was this morning after that practice.
Hey, let me say this.
Go ahead.
Kyrie started off the right way on that. Kyrie started off completely right on that and how he was responding to the questions.
Yeah.
But once it got to like that midway point, that's when it kind of took that downturn when Kyrie got defensive instead of just answering the question. And all he should have said was, no, I don't agree with everything was in there. It's a tone deaf moment for me. I apologize. And it would have been over.
Agree. And for what it's worth, he does have a back and forth. Nick Friedel has been open about that. I know Friedel, he used to cover the Bulls before he was covering the Warriors during the championship years with Durant, and then he ended up getting the beat for the Nets. So he's been covering the Nets for about, I think, a little over 2 years now. So he's been there for just about the entire time that Kyrie's been there. So they kind of had a lot of back and forth when the whole vaccination situation came up with Kyrie refusing to take it. Right before they went to the bubble, no?
Yeah, and for Kyrie to respond with, you post stuff all the time. Well, with Nick being a national media guy, he's also held accountable by fans for what he posts. If he was to post something like that, the people would also be holding him accountable as well. So Kyrie running away from the accountability, not saying that Kyrie agreed what was in the project, because he probably doesn't, but in that moment, you have to read the room and understand why people would be upset and say, hey, my bad, tone deaf moment. I don't agree with everything in there. I'm taking it down. For Kyrie to act like stuff that he posts isn't promotion, considering his level of celebrity, it's just completely ignorant.
I'll play the clip from the post practice. Check it out.
Are you surprised that reaction and some of the things that you did hurt people?
Yeah, I think I can ask a better question. It's just, where were you when I was a kid, figuring out that 300 million of my ancestors are buried in America? Where were you guys asking those same questions when I was a kid learning about the traumatic events of my familial history and what I'm proud to come from and why I'm proud to stand here and why when I repeat myself that I'm not going to stand down, it has nothing to do with dismissing any other race or group of people. I'm just proud of my heritage and what we've been through. And the fact that this has pinned me against the Jewish community. And I'm here answering questions of whether or not I'm sorry or not on something I didn't create. And it was something I shared. And I'm telling everybody I'm taking responsibility. Then that's where I sit. So, you know, these same questions that you guys ask, me dealing with it as being a melanated, pigmented person all around the world and dealing with racial biases against my skin color, demeaning me because of my religious beliefs, and I'm still sitting in the seat standing. So I take my full responsibility. Again, I'll repeat it, for posting something on my Instagram or Twitter that may have had some unfortunate falsehoods in it. But I also am a human being that's 30 years old, and I've been growing up in a country that's told me that I wasn't worth anything, and I came from a slave class, and then I come from a people that are meant to be treated the way we get treated every day. So I'm not here to compare anyone's atrocities or tragic events that their families have dealt with generations of time. I'm just here to continue to expose things that our world continues to put in darkness. I'm a light. I'm a beacon of light. That's what I'm here to do. You guys ask me questions about basketball, I give you my expert opinion. You guys ask me about other things, I give you my opinion, and it's met with whatever you believe the perception or the deception is. You guys investigate my life every day, and you justify it by serving your own purpose, which I honor. I would like the same respect in return, figuring out just like anyone else. So please keep that same energy when we're talking about anti-other things, because just because I post a documentary doesn't mean I'm anti-Semitic, and doesn't mean that I'm automatically standing with everyone that is believing in that. So it's unfortunate timing that we're in, but I'm glad that I could stand on the truth, because I'm not afraid of these mics, these cameras. I used to be, looking everyone in the eye and telling them the truth, but I'm proud of who I am. Any label that you put on me, I'm able to dismiss because I study. I know the Oxford Dictionary, you look it up, right? One of the biggest mistakes I had in being a kid was not knowing European or Western language until I started looking it up and understanding the definitions and why they say, if you want to trick a black person, put it in a book. I was wondering my whole life why they said that. Now I'm 30 years old and I know reading is a superpower because it helps me understand where I'm going and where I come from, like a tree with roots.
And what do any of this got to do with basketball, bro? Like, I hear you, but
wait, it took Kyrie 30 years to figure out why they say, if you don't want black people to know something, put it in a book. It took him 30 yees to figure that out.
What the fuck, bro? Like what?
Like, see, this is the Australian part of Kyrie talking, because clearly we all who grew up in America learned that at a very young age.
No, what are we talking about? And not to mention, you got your coach fired, man. Steve Nash got up out of there real quick. I gotta use the air quotes.
And again,
all
that
episode.
second clip,
fired. Bro was like, man, what?
Kyrie started
Sean,
off good,
then it
went downhill.
Sean, let me holler at you, Sean. Yo, let me out of this. Let me out, dog. He got up out of that shit like Trey got out of the car and Boys in the Hood. You feel me?
Bruh. Kyrie, look, and you can tell because of how that second one really went. It started off good and seemed like Kyrie was trying to do the right thing, but then he got frustrated.
Again.
And so the real way he felt about it started coming out.
Not only that, but bro, so the game, I forget who they were even playing the other night, but the game that people were talking about was the game where the family of 8, they sat courtside with the shirts that said in anti-Semitism or it was something like that. But it's funny because like I was around the playoffs last year when protesting started, when the girl glued herself to the floor and tried to chain herself to the backboard in Memphis. They look like college kids for real. But them courtside seats is $3,500 a pop. You feel me? So that's a hell of a price tag just to put on a protest. And they made a lot more noise than a lot of them people. I know you remember the video when was it the female security guard jumped the 2 rows because they saw the protester at the Minnesota game?
Yeah, in Minnesota, they did it like twice in the playoffs, right, or 3 times.
Yeah. But this like that message was louder than any of that other shit that was going on. It just tell you like money moves the needle, bro. Speaking of money, while we on the subject and we on the subject of the Nets, bro, like
wait, Kyrie just issued an apology on IG.
Stop lying.
I swear to God. And again, it
Look,
starts off
money is
great,
the
and by the
motive,
time
bro.
you get to the end of, it starts off great, and it's like, oh, you should have just said this from the beginning. But by the time you get to them last couple sentences, it's like, bro, come on.
Is this it? 13 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Let me cut the music. Hold on. All right, so check it out. This is Kyrie Irving's post 13 minutes ago. While doing research on YHWH, I posted a documentary that contains some false anti-Semitic statements, narratives, and language that were untrue and offensive to the Jewish race and religion. And I take full accountability and responsibility for my actions. I am grateful to have a big platform to share knowledge, and I want to move forward by having an open dialogue to learn more and to grow from this. To all Jewish families and communities that are hurt and affected from my post, I am deeply sorry to have caused you pain, and I apologize. I initially reacted out of emotion to being unjustly labeled anti-Semitic instead of focusing on the healing process of my Jewish brothers and sisters that were hurt from the hateful remarks made in the documentary. I want to clarify any confusion on where I stand against anti-Semitism by apologizing and posting the documentary without context and a factual explanation outlining the specific beliefs in the documentary I agreed with and disagreed with. I had no intentions to disrespect any Jewish cultural history regarding the Holocaust or perpetuate any hate. I am learning from this unfortunate event and hope we can find understanding between us all. I am no different than any other human being. I am seeking of truth and knowledge. I know who I am. Kyrie Hela. Wow.
If he would have put this statement out like the day after that first one happened, the shit would have been over with already.
Wow.
But you see that last sentence? Because Kyrie, the way Kyrie talks in riddles, he has ways of saying shit, and that whole I know who I am shit.
Wow.
It just makes him seem arrogant in a moment where he's supposed to be completely unapologetic.
Wow, bro. So my question to you is, do you think that he wrote that? Or do you think that that was something from his PR rep or his agent? Because, I mean, at this point, like, does it matter?
I think he had a hand in it because
Or he might have had to approve it, right?
It doesn't because I don't think it matters at this point because he's spent the last week being unapologetic.
Exactly. So is it disingenuous?
And so we already know who. It might be a tad disingenuous. It still needed to be said. Just in general, like I'm a believer in if somebody gets caught doing something or whatever, just apologize. Everybody deserves, that second chance or whatever, or that chance to explain yourself. So just apologize when you were wrong and we can move forward. And the whole thing about him saying we can have an open dialogue, why didn't you say that from jump? Like, that's what I just mentioned earlier about Kyrie should have just had that press conference and said, hey, y'all can ask me questions. I can tell you what I agree and don't disagree with, and we can have a legit dialogue about this so everybody knows where I really stand. Now you want to have an open dialogue. Bro, you should have just said it from the beginning.
NBA Today and TNT, Ernie Johnson and Charles Barkley had a rabbi from Los Angeles on their podcast and shows this week. He basically said he was a fan of basketball. He was a fan of Kyrie. He told him that they run a basketball gymnasium out in L.A., so whenever the Nets are out there playing the Clippers or the Lakers, for him to pull up, come to the gym and work out, and then they can have said dialogue. I'm sure this isn't the last. Like I said, this story popped up on Good Morning America, man. Like, people that aren't even basketball fans by a regular account are now, like, in the lexicon of this thing because it showed up on casual television. So now, like, Kyrie public enemy number one because he was being anti, you know what I'm saying? Not even anti-Semitic. I don't believe that was his intention at all, but just anti-establishment. Like, y'all not going to run me. Y'all not going to tell me what to do. Y'all can find me $500,000, $500,000, 500,000. It's gonna be tax deductible anyway. But then they're gonna suspend him for 5 games. Stephen A. Smith is habitual with going on TV saying like, bro, you're a professional at skipping out on work anyway. Like, you don't really want to play basketball like that. He then threatened to retire or was contemplating retiring when the bubble season happened, and he's like, I'm not getting vaccinated. I feel it like when you write, sometimes ain't nobody around to tell you you're right. Sometimes you just standing there by yourself. You feel me? But I just think from a popular standpoint or from the court of public opinion, between him and Kanye and like all the other goofy shit that's going on between the shootings that's going on in America, bro, like we ain't got time for it, bro. And it's got nothing to do with basketball. Nothing to do. That's really what I want to talk about. I really want to talk about the Nets like as a team and not as like a soap opera. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, unfortunately, they added to that soap opera with something else. So
man, just go ahead and talk about it. You beat me to the punch.
But well, first let me just say this on Kyrie. I think there's a good chance he played his last game as a Net. Because at a certain point,
1,000%.
that front office, especially Sean Marks at this point and Joe Tsai, they're tired of Kyrie. They were trying to get rid of him in the summer.
Have fun in Indiana.
Yeah, like at a certain point, this might be the final straw. I don't know. It could be because they said 5 games at
minimum,
but it's an indefinite suspension.
Without pay.
It's an indefinite suspension with a minimum of 5 games.
Without pay after he just signed a max deal, bro.
Yep. And for me, for them to say 5 games, but then put the indefinite word on there, it means that it's going to last longer than 5 games, but there's only, because of the CBA, there's only so many games that they're allowed to suspend somebody without pay.
Exactly.
So I'm assuming that after that 5 games, Kyrie's still going to do some more time, but he'll actually be getting paid for it because of the CBA.
He probably end up on the Australian national team.
Look, but I would go as far as to say, I don't know, gut feeling, 60% chance he never plays for the Nets again.
I believe it. But check it out though. Shannon Sharp actually made a really good point too. Not a really good point, but just something to pay attention to. You see how like damn near everything kind of walked away from Kanye with the things that he was saying. He brought up the fact that Nike rolled out the Kyrie. They're supposed to roll out the Kyrie 8 this week, and they didn't. Which
is supposed to be the last one. It was supposed to be
of his contract, and they didn't stall on it. They didn't stall on his Kyrie line. No, they never came out and made a statement in regards to not standing behind that. Right. I wonder if the league is gonna get involved with. I don't know how involved they can be when it comes to like endorsements and stuff like that. But I believe Kyrie's agent is his stepmom. No.
I'm not sure.
It's just one of them things where it's a constant reminder that money moves everything, bro. It's not really about. It is about what your personal beliefs are, as long as they align with. When it comes to corporate, as long as they align with money being made, that's what matters. Because now somebody could twist the narrative and tell their kids, like, you know, I know you like Kyrie, I know he's your role model, but this is why you shouldn't stand behind him. And it's unfortunate because he's an amazing talent and he's an intellectual. Like you could tell he's smart. It's just he might think that he's smarter than what he really is, or he might think he's the smartest person in the room too often than he should.
Yeah, and if anybody remembers the Myers Leonard situation.
Right. Talk about it.
Because I think people are trying to make this, as always, a black and white issue. And sometimes that is the case, yes. A lot of times it's the case. But Myers Leonard basically got kicked out of the league for something he said in the gaming chat.
Yeah, and it wasn't even vague. Like Kyrie's situation is kind of vague. He didn't really admit to anything. Myers Leonard was overt. That was a slur that you don't just regularly have like at your disposal. That's something that you've been wanting to say, something that you've been dying to say for a while. You know what I'm saying? It's ironic to think that Kyrie has privilege in that regard. And like, I don't want to say he got a slap on the wrist, but compared to Myers Leonard is not in the league right now. And you would expect it to kind of be the reverse based on, you know what I'm saying, the culture that we live in, you know?
That's where the money at though. Right. I mean, this is why we talk about NFL players who get in trouble, still getting chance after chance. Exactly. Right. Because if they can play, they'll get a job. Right. Or, I mean, look at what Greg Hardy did. Right. Like, he still had a job.
Word.
Eventually. Right. who was my man's that used to play for San Fran, similar situation, and he was playing during the entire ordeal. I think his last name was McDonald. I can't remember. But it was around the same time of the Greg Hardy stuff, or yeah, it was a big fella too. Or was it a big fella? I can't remember, but it was something like that with him. Or you look at the Miles Bridges situation now, where he's not going to do court. I mean, he's not going to do jail time. He'll probably end up back in the league.
No contest, yeah.
He just got probation, so we've seen stuff like this. I mean, obviously, like Ray Rice was an extreme case where he never played a down in the NFL again. But for the most part, but Ray Rice was basically on the back end of his career, right? And so he wasn't worth the money. But it always comes back to the money. If Kyrie was making money hand over fist for the league, he would get another chance, right? And versus like a Myers Leonard situation. So unfortunately, like you mentioned, you know, where the paper trail is, usually can kind of tell you what the outcome's going to be.
Sticking with the Nets, man, on top to add the icing on the cake, they, like I said, they fired Steve Nash. He had a winning record as a coach overall, but now they're talking about after dealing with the Kyrie situation, they're talking about bringing Ime Udoka in just to add more fuel to the fire. He already got some shit on his plate as it is, dealing with some stuff. I didn't even think that was possible, that he could even be out here checking out other coaching jobs. He's still employed by the Celtics. They got him suspended, but he's still with them. And they're not even apparently they're not even asking for like no picks, no money, no nothing. Like, all right, just go ahead, just get the fuck on, go further down.
Technically,
the road.
This is gonna have to be because he's still under contract. So technically, this is gonna have to be a trade unless they completely fire him altogether and he's signing a completely new deal. Because that's, remember when Doc Rivers got traded from the Clippers to Philly. He was still on the same last 2 years of his contract,
right?
So, or 3 years, whatever it was. So, it obviously they don't care about tampering when it comes to coaching, because clearly an hour after they said Steve Nash was fired, it was, Ime Udoka is going to be the next coach. This contract is going to be finalized in the next 48 hours.
I brought the question up in our group chat, like why Mark Jackson didn't get a call.
Well, we know why he's blackballed.
Yeah, I just found out about that a couple of days ago.
Some of the statements he made when he was in Golden State. Yeah,
it's kind of OD.
Which he
definitely had the Kings job on lock though last year.
And that's happened to him multiple times, right? I think it happened to him with the Pelicans job, and Stan Van got it. I think it happened to him with the Rockets at one point. He was a candidate for the Knicks job before Thibodeau, I believe.
Right. I forgot about that. You're right.
It's with Mark Jackson, unfortunately, he is suffering from a pattern when it comes to coaching where certain guys just aren't allowed a second opportunity. I mean, there's other coaches that have done stuff in the past that, in all sports, that end up with other opportunities, and Mark Jackson has not been afforded one. And he's done nothing since that incident that's keeping him blackballed to suggest that he would do it again.
But he's allowed to keep a national broadcasting job. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's just it's weird. Like, it's weird. I don't really know how to explain it. I don't really know how to comprehend it. Like, it's gray areas everywhere you turn. It's loopholes here and there when it comes to certain stuff. I think it's more of a subjective thing. Like, if we like you, if we fuck with you, the more we fuck with you, the more of an opportunity that you're gonna have to kind of stay around and make money in the league.
And the crazy thing to me is I don't even think he's been offered an assistant job.
Yeah, but you know, like Masai Ujiri gonna call Steve Nash in a second and say, "Come on up here to Toronto." You know what I'm saying? Bang out with us.
Yep.
He RJ Barrett's godfather, native son. Like, Steve Nash gonna be back on somebody's sideline because he technically didn't do nothing wrong for real. He really just got like booted.
No, and he might have not been a good like head coach, but we've clearly seen what he was able to do in Golden State in terms of being kind of that middle guy between Steve Kerr and some of the players, especially like KD and him, in the way he's able to interact with some of these players.
Yeah.
So I think he should find his place in the league somewhere. It just might not be as a head coach, right? And I mean, that happens all the time. And like Brian Shaw, for example, amazing with player development. If you remember what he did for those Pacers teams,
Phil
right?
Handy.
Phil Handy, right? Another guy, great, but sometimes that don't translate into head coaching, and sometimes it's true vice versa. Sometimes head coaches aren't good at developing players,
True.
right? And
True.
you see it in the NFL. Sometimes a coordinator isn't a good head coach, and sometimes a head coach isn't a good coordinator because they're just different roles. So Phil Handy will, I think, get his opportunity eventually, and we'll see how that goes. So we can't write the book on that one yet, but I think with Steve Nash's case, when it comes to time management, when it comes to some other stuff, either he's just not a good head coach and better at development, or he just needs more experience, kind of like Jason Kidd did, where the first, that Nets job didn't really work out well, but you look at, he did his time in LA and he did his time in Milwaukee, and now you look at what he's doing with Dallas, right? So sometimes maybe the first go around just ain't it. We won't know unless we get a chance to see Nash get another opportunity. So
that was a hell of a go around, though. You start out with KD and Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons. I want to get back to the Nets in a second. Anyway. But he had James Harden for a second. Man, I don't know.
You gave him quite possibly 4 of the toughest people to deal with in the NBA from a personality standpoint.
Yeah, from a coaching standpoint. I mean, but you gotta think he been in the thick of things with locker rooms in the past. He a 2-time MVP, so it's not like he played with Cole. He played with. So it's not like it was foreign territory. You feel me?
No, as a player, no, but as a coach, your first experience is dealing with Kyrie, who right off the bat didn't even want to play because KD was hurt. Right off the bat,
he's off the bat. Shit, the bat, he was like, "We don't even need a coach." You feel me?
Yeah, bro, before Steve Nash even started, Day one. And then you got KD, who clearly has some up and downs when it comes to the way he reacts to stuff, and hearing that at one point in the summer he wanted Nash fired. Then you get James Harden, who was notoriously tough to coach if you're not Mike D'Antoni. And then you get Ben Simmons, another guy who we watched just be Ben Simmons, right?
He's averaging 5 shots. He's averaging
Nash
5
got
shots
thrown
right
into
now.
us. Yeah, and your best player doesn't want to be a leader. So it's not like Steve Nash got thrown into a team where he had to coach Kobe, and at least Kobe wanted to be a leader, and you kind of just have to figure out his style. But his best player didn't want to be a leader. His second best player didn't want to show up, and his third best player wanted to get traded because he didn't want to deal with Kyrie. And now you got Ben Simmons, who clearly is afraid to shoot the ball.
Yo, you think that,
or lay the ball up for that matter?
You think that that conversation was true when Steve Nash had all the players to his house, and Kyrie was like, "Yo, come, show me the MVP trophy that you stole from Cole"?
Yeah, 100%. That sounds like something Kyrie would say. And Kyrie probably meant it jokingly, but if you're Steve Nash and you know Kyrie already don't like you, you're gonna take that a different way.
Steve Nash got thrown out.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he got thrown out. Was it the Dallas game he got thrown out for the double tech? Ben Simmons, they only played 8 games. Ben Simmons fouled out of 2 of the 8 games. He's averaging 5 shots a game. He started out before coming to the Nets, he was averaging 12 shots a game. Now he's down to 5. The Nets have the 3rd highest payroll in the NBA, and they're going to be $108 million over in the luxury tax. On top of that, they have the lowest season ticket attendance in the entire NBA, bro. They've upped the prices on the tickets, but they can't get nobody to come to the games. And they got world-class talent.
Because people have sat through 3 years of dysfunction. And they know that ain't no reason to show up for that.
They NBA first
I'm not
team.
showing up.
They first team all potential, because this is the first super team that I've ever heard of to not sniff a conference finals, yet alone a finals. You feel me?
And the thing I always say about super teams, outside of them like Celtics teams way back in the day, and then Lakers teams and Celtics in the 80s, super teams, their run is typically 3 to 4 years. You can't really think of a super team outside of like the old Celtics and Lakers that really had a run that was longer than 3 or 4 years.
So what is the point?
They all end shortly.
What's the point of bringing in Udoka though? Because if you bring in Ime, that's a sign at a first-year head coach that got his team to the NBA Finals. Obviously, if he comes in,
they bring him in because he was the best coach available.
Yeah, yes and no. But
that doesn't mean it's gonna work.
So check it out. I've been kind of watching wall-to-wall coverage of this. So the first thing that comes to my mind is the roster is not the Celtics roster. I think the oldest player on the Celtics is Marcus Smart at 28. Kevin Durant is 33 going on 34. Kyrie's 30. Everybody else on the team is in their 30s. I think Patty Mills is in his 30s as well. So like it's not the same roster. Number two, nobody on the Nets plays defense. Nobody. Bruce Brown is gone. Drummond is gone. It's not like he really played a whole lot of defense, but they don't really have like lockdown defenders. Ben Simmons was supposed to be like your Doberman defender. The third thing is when Ime comes in, like he don't have Will Harding. Will Harding is in Utah. He don't got Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla is coaching the team that he about to get away from. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not like he got the same dogs that he was running with last year. That he made them a ton of money, and then they went on to head coaching jobs. Not only that, but if I'm Jacques Vaughn, I'm just like, yo, bro, this is my second or third stint as the interim head coach. Like, what y'all on with me? Like, I don't deserve like a chance to ride this thing out through the rest of the season. Because if you bring in Ime, what it signals to me is they not trying to give up on the season. But then when you make a move like this where you suspending Kyrie, it's almost like, damn, we might as well get off of this whole thing.
Well, I think that because again, there's definitely been some tampering that's going on here with how quick it happened. The minute that they got word that Udoka was being suspended and probably wouldn't be back with the team, they already probably start putting the work in place, and they just waited a little bit for all the media shit to die down before they made the move, right? But yeah, I mean, Udoka was the best coach available. Doesn't mean that it's going to work out in this situation because, like you mentioned, it's a different roster, and you have guys that are far less willing to do what it takes to win. Like Udoka was able to pull that out of that Celtics team. I mean, he got Jason Tatum to start playing somewhat differently, Jaylen Brown to start playing somewhat differently, but you got guys in Brooklyn who are set in their ways. Ben Simmons has had literally everybody under the sun tell him, you need to learn how to shoot. You probably need to shoot with your right hand. And you just need to work on your jumper, and he's refused. He had Kobe tell him that.
You heard Kyrie scream at him to shoot the ball the other night when he passed it to him in the lane.
Mm-hmm. And you got a guy in Kyrie who clearly cares more about other stuff than basketball, which is fine as long as you're taking care of business when you're on the court, right? And then you got a guy in KD who doesn't want to be a leader. Like in Boston, he had a Marcus Smart, he had a Al Horford. He had a couple of vets there that wanted to be leaders, and then you still had guys like Tatum and Brown who are young, but they're still trying to kind of cement their place as the future and leaders of that team. But in Boston, I mean, in Brooklyn, you don't have guys who want to be a leader.
Bro,
you don't. Kyrie wants to be a leader off the court, but not on it.
Bro, I initially was gonna say like, I don't know what the Lakers is on, like holding off on trade those 2 picks. They just need to go on ahead and trade Ben Simmons to the Lakers for them 2 picks, or Kyrie to the Lakers for them 2 picks. Now it's like, shit, Ben Simmons. Then I was like, all right, Ben Simmons to the Pacers. Because while the Lakers want Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, I'm like, if I was the Nets, I would see what's up with getting Buddy Hield and Miles Turner on Brooklyn for Ben Simmons and some other shit. But now I'm like, hell, y'all can have Kyrie Irving for real. Indiana, small market. Well, they ain't even really bothering with the bullshit. Like, give me Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner, or Tyrese and Buddy, and we'll give you Kyrie and Joe Harris and a pick or something like that.
Tyrese is as safe as he's untouchable for the Pacers.
Oh, you say they love him. He ain't going nowhere.
You ain't getting Tyrese unless you're giving up like first team kind of player.
Y'all can have Kyrie. Give me give me Ty Halliburton and Miles Turner.
Not dealing with that.
And then Phoenix, what
y'all
want?
Already got that vision.
And then Phoenix, what y'all want? What's up? What y'all want for KD? Let's talk. Let's retalk.
Problem with Phoenix is you can't get Ayton now.
Oh, because he signed a deal.
They can't trade Ayton until January. Yeah, until January at the earliest. But he's got a veto power for a full year until next summer, basically.
And they playing great right now too.
So if you don't want to go to Brooklyn, he can't go to Brooklyn.
Yeah,
so
and they playing great right now.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem is if you're the Lakers, nobody's gonna run to help you. So
Hell no.
what yesterday's price ain't today's price. So
Fuck
now
no.
and with how bad they've been, if I'm the Pacers, okay, you want Buddy Hield and Miles Turner for now you're willing to for Westbrook and 2 first-round picks because now you're desperate. No, now I need 3 first-round picks.
Word.
I'm not letting you off the hook with a deal from a couple months ago when you guys. I don't need Buddy Hield and Miles Turner because clearly we got a young core of guys that are capable right now and we're growing. But I don't need to send them to you. I'm not in a desperate situation like you are. So now you got to give me more than just Westbrook and 2 firsts. No, I need 3 firsts, and I still might need you to throw Lonnie Walker in there.
Man, we only 2 weeks into the season.
Because I'm doing you a favor. I'm doing you a favor because I'm getting Westbrook. Like, I'm doing you a favor. You ain't doing me one.
Exactly. Let's switch to the NFL.
And same for Brooklyn.
Nothing much to talk about except for the trade deadline. The Bears, I don't know what's really going on. Like, they making lateral moves. They got rid of Roquan. They got rid of was it Robert Quinn? Sent Robert Quinn out of there as well. And then they
sent Quinn to Baltimore?
They sent Roquan to Baltimore. Robert, I think
they sent to Philly.
Quinn went to Philly.
Quinn to Philly.
Then they traded a 2nd-round pick for Chase Claypool, who was drafted with a 2nd-round pick. So I'm like, are they trying to like swap out defense for more offense to help out Justin Fields? It don't really make a difference. Like, I don't really know what's going on, but if they're trying to like make the stats look better so they can sell more tickets to the games, like that's not the best way of doing it. But Claypool wasn't really getting a lot of attention because Deontay Johnson went out there and showed out for Pittsburgh last year.
Yeah, they're just cutting salary at this point because they didn't want to pay Roquan what he was going to ask for.
And Chase's deal is up at the next year, so it's not like they trying to sign him to an extension or a long-term deal right now. So it's really like this damn near prove-it deal. For real. On a team that don't throw the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Whatever.
It's one of the baffling decisions.
Whatever, man.
Don't feel bad. The Niners basically look like idiots right now. So,
for what they got from McCaffrey?
Because all of them picks that they gave up to the Dolphins to move up and take Trey Lance, the Dolphins have turned those picks into Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Bradley Chubb.
Right. And they
literally
they signed him to the extendo.
Like the 3 picks that they got
to the extendo as soon as he walked in the door. As soon as he landed in Miami, they gave him the extension.
Mm-hmm. So the 3 picks they used in them trades were picks they got from the Niners in the Trey Lance trade. So Niners looking crazy. I mean, they did get CMC though, which it looks like it's going to be a really great fit for them. But
did they get Jeff Wilson too?
No, for all the talk of the trade deadline, yeah, it was Jeff Wilson. Yeah, that's who it was. It was Jeff Wilson, Tyreek, and Jalen Waddle out of those picks with the Niners for the Trey Lance deal.
The Dolphins going for it, boy.
Which is insane.
Dolphins going for it, man.
Yeah. I like what they're doing down there. I'm still not sure on the quarterback, but they got a lot of good pieces around him right now that are going to cover up for anything that he doesn't do.
Let's go to the game show, man.
So yeah, they did a great job.
All right, this one might be a tough one, but I forget who I'm talking to. You're a basketball aficionado, so it might not be super tough. But check it out. We're talking rookie of the years. Over the past 20 years, there have been 3 foreign players to win the Rookie of the Year award. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. You don't got to give me the years. You just got to give me the 3 players that are not Americans to win the Rookie of the Year award. It's 3 players.
NBA.
You got 30 seconds, and your time starts now.
Well, Luka's got to be one.
Luka is one, yes.
Was Andrew Bogut one of them?
No, Andrew Bogut is not one of them.
Oh, okay. If it's not Bogut, Porzingis.
Porzingis did not win. 10 seconds.
He didn't win Rookie of the Year? Jesus. Drazen Petrovic?
Drazen Petrovic. All right, I'm gonna give you one last shot. You can give me one more, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get in.
I mean, are we counting people like Ben Simmons?
Yeah, I'm gonna count Ben. That's 2.
Because he's Australian. Okay, then that means Kyrie's probably another one.
Nah, Kyrie's not another one.
What? He didn't win it?
He won it.
He's Australian.
Actually, you know, I'll go ahead and give it to you. You're right. I'll give it to you. That was tough. I'll give it to you. And we're going Kyrie, I'll give it to you.
Oh, I mean, or do we count Tim Duncan? Do we count Tim Duncan too?
Nah, Tim Duncan didn't win it. That wasn't even 20 years. That's past 20 years. He's 98.
Oh, you said 20. You're right. You're right.
So, Luka won it 2019. Ben Simmons won it 2018, although it really should have went to Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
And Pau Gasol in 2002.
Powell. I don't forget about Powell.
I knew you weren't gonna get it. I knew you was gonna have that reaction when you found out, but that was tough.
Powell's my guy.
That was tough. Did you watch the Redeem Team documentary? I know we.
I have not got around to it.
Oh damn!
I need to.
Big Pau coverage in that joint. Shout outs. Where you at with it?
Well, first I want to give a shout out to I'm gonna give a shout out to Ime Udoka for overcoming the odds here.
Round of applause.
Seriously, I want to give a shout out to the Lions for trading TJ Hawkinson to the Vikings.
To the big Vikings.
People wonder why I hate that team. People wonder why. I'm also going to give a shout out to Sean McVay for leaving Cooper Kupp in the game in garbage time.
I heard he might be retiring out there.
He needs to. The man refused to run the ball. Oh, and definitely big shout out to my big dogs, my Wolverines, stomping out Michigan State this past weekend. All the talk, basically pitched the shutout after the first quarter, so we cool.
How you feel about that backstage brawl, though?
It was some suckish shit. That's 4-on-1, bro. Like, and y'all hitting my man's with a helmet, broke his nose. Like, come on, dog. Where was that at during the game?
Right. That's the response I've been hearing. Like, they had a lot of they sounded real tough talking on the phone in the back room. When it was on the field, it was a lot of it was a whole different conversation. You feel me? My shout outs.
Like, seriously.
My shout outs. First off, rest in peace to Tony Brown. He passed away on October 20th, following a hard-fought battle with cancer. One of the best referees in the NBA, so rest in peace to Tony Brown. Shout out to my young boy Kiki Rice. You feel me? Let me get the round of applause. One of the top recruits, one of the star point guards in the nation. She's in the McDonald's All-American game, committed to UCLA. The Kiki Rice, according to Nick DePaula, has officially signed with the Jordan brand. This being her first NIL signing, the first of many. Shout out to Lil Kiki. She gonna do damage out in UCLA. I don't know how much you pay attention to the girls' game, bro, but she nice with it. For real.
I'll keep an eye on it.
She like the female Jason Kidd, straight up and down. No funny.
Hey,
Keep
man,
it
College
locked,
got some
man.
hoopers right now, bro.
Huh?
I said College got some. They got some hoopers right now. Caitlin Clark, bro. Female Steph over at Iowa. I'll be peeping some stuff,
College basketball about less than a month away, ain't it? Oh, do you see
yeah, a lot of teams.
Will Self? You saw that?
Oh, you talking about the suspension?
Yeah. Coming off the chip.
I've never liked Will Self.
Damn.
He's another one of those guys that I think he gets a lot of the top talent, but he never really develops them for the NBA, so to speak.
I feel it.
I
understand.
Never really liked him like that.
Before we get up out of here, man, you said Kyrie 60%. He done played his last game on the Nets. Where you think he end up by All-Star Weekend? Where you think he gonna be?
I'm going to say it's gonna be That's gonna be a bad team too. You watch. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Dallas.
You know what's
I'm gonna
crazy?
go with Dallas.
You know what's crazy? I thought that's where he was gonna always end up. I felt that's where he needed to go, either there or Denver.
Yeah, because they didn't get off to the start that they had hoped for, and clearly that heliocentric Luka ball that they played.
And neither one of them teams play defense anyway. So he fit right in.
Yeah. And honestly, Brooklyn could get some nice, 3-and-D guys from both of those.
From either
teams.
team, you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
To be continued, man.
I don't know
keep it locked. We'll keep our eyes on the situation. Don't forget, we everywhere that podcasts live, man. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Shout out to the sponsor, Anchor. All of that. Check us out in the mailbag with the questions. The Hitmen Podcast at gmail.com. Hit us up on the socials at Hitmen Podcast, at Labeled and Known, at Virtuoso Sports. And last but not least, don't ever forget in your life, man.
What happened here was a miracle, and I want you to acknowledge it.
All right, it was a miracle. Can we go now?
81 like Cole. We gone. Holla!
Center.